afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming today, and welcome to Plymouth Congregational Church. My name is Maestro Robert Nance, and I have the privilege of being the director of music here at this church. So on behalf of the church, our pastor, Reverend Timothy Murphy, associate pastor, Reverend Sarah Offner-Seals, and the Reverend January Simpson, I want to welcome you here to this open and affirming space where no matter who you are or where you are on life's journey, you are welcome here. Today's concert is dedicated to the memory of Patricia May Adsit, a longtime Fort Wayne resident, a member of this church, and a very dear friend to me and many of you here today. Whether you knew Patricia May well, or not at all, or somewhere in between, your presence here today is sincerely appreciated and helps us process the loss and to pay homage to her memory. Please note there are two memorial registry books in the building, one located in the narthex and the other in the Folsom room where the reception will be held. Thank you for filling your name in there and letting us know of your presence today. It is appreciated. Also, there's no offering today, but you are encouraged to make a donation in Patricia's memory. You can do so by leaving your gift in the offering plate right here in the center aisle, or you can do it at the Folsom room near the display of all of the memorabilia. I'll be there and I'll be happy to receive your gift. Please also note that applause is absolutely appreciated, not only for the performers, but Patricia would want it that way. So let's thank Michael for that prelude, everyone. So before starting this concert, I want to express my sincere appreciation to everyone for their support, which has truly helped me cope with the loss of Patricia. So thank you to my spouse, Chris, to my extended family at Heartland Sings, to my dear friends, Marge and Tom Gamble and her entire family, Pat's Fox Chase neighbors, where I've been seeing a lot more of lately, all my friends here today, you know who you are, and forgive me for not naming you all. And to my colleagues and members here at Plymouth Church, everyone has been tremendously gracious and supportive of me, and I am so grateful. I also want to take a time to offer a special thank you to our performers. Patricia loved the arts, but music most of all. She loved knowing that she could help support career musicians such as yourselves, and was an amazing partner in that work with me for well over 25 years. I am sure she is with us in spirit today, and most likely humbled that anything that she did throughout her life could evoke such a lovely outpouring of creativity and love. Having committed Patricia to the everything that is God in all creation, today we gather to commemorate this very special lady. Patricia May Adsit was Pat to many of us here. To others, she bore the name Petunia. To me, she was Peapod, or more recently, Patizzi, so I better explain that. Patizzi, the name I gave to her, was my attempt to deal with her cancer through some humor. Though her treatment did a good job of keeping her cancer from spreading for well over 5 years, the cancer still caused chronic dizziness. So Patizzi she became. Yet turnabout was fair play. While she called me Peapod because we had so much in common, for the past 5 years she called me Bob Scratchit. For as she was dealing with cancer, I was dealing with chronic hives, and I was itching a lot. So we nurtured each other's illnesses with humor. I also have a confession to make. Today's concert is a eulogy in word and music, but it's not a memorial service, wink, wink. You see, Pat was adamant that she did not want a memorial service. But a concert, well, that's not technically a service. Do you agree? She often accused me, though, of bending the rules, or as I like to call it, thinking outside of the box. In that vein, calling today's performance a memorial concert is very much my way to get around the no service, getting around her final wishes. But at the same time, I'm confident that she'd ultimately be very forgiving of what happens here today. That being said, today's concert is our opportunity in music and spoken word to remember Patricia. We remember her stewardship and exceptional philanthropy. her passion for the arts and the humanities, her faith and discipleship, her friendship, and her loyalty. And for some of us, we remember with gratitude for the rare gift of walking with her, that rare privilege of walking with her in her profound struggle to understand the reasons for the abuse she experienced in the first half of her life, wondering why God would allow such things to happen, and spending the rest of her life in pursuit of that which could heal those wounds and help her to live a joyful life. Patricia was a lifelong seeker, pondering life's many questions, struggling with God, and often remarking to me, "If I were God, I would have done things a lot differently." I think what she meant was she really would prefer that everybody just be at peace with one another and get along. But acknowledging free will, the human condition, and the struggles that are inherently part of this life, she nevertheless gave thanks to God for creation and asking for guidance for ways to use her gifts as a teacher, a disciple, and most of all, a steward. By doing so, I believe that those of us around her could experience the light that illuminates and connects us all. The words and music that I put together for today's concert are very personal. Patricia was an important part of my life for well over 30 years, and she had in every way become a member of my family. She was a beloved friend, a confidant, a co-creator of many projects that I endeavored to undertake, and much, much more. We loved the arts, politics, and theology, and we spent countless hours sharing, often vigorously, on these topics and more. Today's memorial concert is intended to reflect upon her life as a deeply faithful person who struggled with God but loved God even more, who worked right up to her final day, literally up to her final day, working to understand what God needed her to do and to be about. It is our opportunity to give thanks for our friend and loved one, to acknowledge that she lives on in our hearts and memories, and is therefore an indelible part of our lives. And I think we should learn about and share what we've learned from her, so that who she was, who Patricia was as a child of God, will live on. So let's begin. We start with the famous chorale, "Now Thank We All Our God," in an organ setting by Siegfried Karg Alert. It's fitting to open with something from the organ because she really loved it, especially when the rafters began to shake. And Michael's going to do that for us right now with this piece.
Well, Pat loved to go to church, though in recent years, due to her disease, she was more comfortable attending church via live stream. Her motivation to attend church, however, was most assuredly because of the music. Music inspired her and made her feel closer to God. Music was not her religion, but it was the avenue that made her connection to God real. She loved the organ, especially when it rattled the rafters and had lots of rhythm. So thank you, Michael, for kicking off this memorial concert with one of Patricia's favorite organ pieces. As grand as the organ is, so was Pat. She was grand and she was a lady. The dictionary definition describes a lady as a woman who behaves in a refined and polite way, historically used as a title to denote one of high social status. Pat earned that title of lady through her work as a teacher. There she knew that setting a good example was her highest calling, and she drew on lessons learned early in life in order to set that example. Pat had some good mentors along the way. She would be the first to admit it. Helene and Madeline, distant relatives in California, introduced her to experiences away from home that gave her an appreciation of all things unique, special, refined. And her experience as a student at Stevens College in Missouri gave her a love of the humanities, of art and culture. These experiences, plus her work as a teacher, built and reinforced her persona as a lady. She also was a devoted woman of faith, regularly studying the Bible and daily devotionals, attending classes at church and Bible study fellowship, as well as enhancing her understanding of her faith by journeying to the Holy Land, or most recently to Albuquerque, to attend a conference with Jesuit priest Father Richard Rohr, who was founder of the Center for Contemplation and Action. The next selection on the program was also one of Pat's favorites. The Psalms were often a source of devotion in her faith practice, and that this particular setting was composed by a dear friend here in Fort Wayne, where she devoted her energies and philanthropy, solidified it as a favorite. This particular setting was performed by the Mormon Tabernacle Choir in Salt Lake City, with our own Robert Nance conducting, and the newly orchestrated version you hear today is winging its way to the Tabernacle for future performances of the work. So please enjoy and remember Pat as you hear "The Lord is My Shepherd" by Robert Nance.
Home was her refuge, a place to center and contemplate, to surround herself with creativity, artwork, music, and close to nature and to God. She also felt safe enough to struggle with life and with God for everything. We talked a lot about those struggles sitting there on that back porch. Up until she had built the home some 35 years ago, she shared living quarters with others, which was okay, introvert preferred. And her childhood home was not always a place of refuge. Of losing her biological mother without a mother and later with a stepmother, instilled in her a lack of belonging and a sense of abandonment. She struggled with this her entire life. She would often question, where do I belong? Though she ultimately created a safe place in the home she built, she nevertheless struggled daily with finding connection, a place of belonging, and ultimately home. At one particularly low point in her life, she recalled hearing God's voice assure her that all would be well and that she was loved. The next song, The Road Home, aptly encapsulates experience. These are the words. Tell me, where is the road I can call my own, so long ago? All these years I have wandered away. There's a road that will lead me home. After wind, after